Foundation Disc Golf, one of the biggest media influencers in the sport today, but they weren't always at the top. It's been a grind to get to this point with multiple stores, a boatload of podcasts, and one of the top leaders in disc golf retail. This is their story from start to finish on how they came to be, going all the way back to their origin stories where it started with just a couple of college disc golfers and one legendary pro who decided to start a brand to change the game. There's been ups and downs, business partners have come and gone, but they've come out stronger for it. The rise of Foundation Disc Golf, how the dream of changing their local scene became so much more. The story of Foundation starts at Liberty University, where two players on the disc golf team played, Hunter Thomas and Zach Biscardi. After playing for the university and competing at the national championship, the roots of a brand would begin to form. But the involvement of the brand didn't just start with these two. Paul McBeth, biggest name in disc golf, would be involved as well. His now current wife, Hannah McBeth, also attended and played for Liberty University. Now, the original idea for Foundation Disc Golf would be attested to McBeth, who for some time now wanted to start a brand to help the local scene grow in disc golf. Local scene ultimately being Lynchburg, Virginia. But on board for getting into disc golf was Hunter and Zach. After initial discussions happened, the brand of Foundation had begun to form. The original idea was for a brick and mortar store in Lynchburg to help serve the community of disc golfers. After realizing the community was not large enough to sustain an in-person store, they transitioned to starting online. The goal would remain the same though, grow the brand until it's big enough to have a retail store. The official launch would be in 2019, with Hunter and Zach on the forefront of the company and McBeth in the background. Hunter and Zach were finishing up school, working other part-time gigs while transitioning into starting the brand of Foundation. This is where the company started to diverge into something completely new. Two venues were launched to grow the brand. First would be a podcast for disc golfers to learn about the sport, which would ultimately turn listeners towards their online store for them to buy discs. The other venture was YouTube, making content that would again turn people towards the brand. Foundation had found a hole in the market. Other brands weren't pushing hard for content like what Foundation was offering. As the online presence grew for Foundation, so did the public image. Helps when the biggest name pro, McBeth, is wearing your sponsored gear while winning events. Having the impact of his name recognition tied in with your brand was huge for the growth of Foundation. But in 2020, that impact would lead to much bigger things for Foundation Disc Golf. As the company grew, so did their assets. Supreme Flight would be an apparel and stamping disc golf brand. Ties with McBeth in the past would give it the possibility to be acquired by Foundation in January of 2020. The brand would work hand in hand with Foundation, owned by them, but still its own brand. In 2020, COVID would hit the United States. Companies all around the world were impacted, but it seemed for disc golf it wouldn't do too much damage. Manufacturers had trouble, that's for sure, but in regards to the retail side of things, they were predicted to slow down for Foundation, but they just never did. The online store was growing, but then again it was a challenge to get discs. It became even harder when another partner signed on. Brody Smith, YouTube phenom and trickshot artist, would arrive on the disc golf scene in 2020. After his ultimate career and pursuing some other venues, Brody would turn to a company he had worked with before to get into the scene. Discraft, the huge signing was announced for 2020 that Brody would be joining the Discraft squad. But his relationship with McBeth had started earlier than that. In 2018, he would do a trickshot video with McBeth and Simon Lizotte. After that, he kept in touch with McBeth. When it was time to sign with Discraft, a quote-unquote training camp would happen for Brody. He would visit McBeth in Virginia, practicing and getting ready for his first season on tour. At this time would be the first meeting ever with Foundation. Hunter and Zach, just wanting to meet Brody and do anything to help for videos, would reach out to McBeth and see if they could do so. Disc golf in a college stadium made for a pretty sweet video, with the McBeth duo, the Foundation duo, and Brody himself. After the training camp, Brody would get into talks with McBeth on doing business together. At this time, McBeth would configure a plan for Brody to become a partner at Foundation. A huge moment for the company was the signing of Brody, and in June of 2020, when the Brody Smith drops were happening, the online store would sell out of completely everything. The sport was growing, and with it was Foundation. When it was becoming too busy to handle on their own, Foundation would bring in new people to fill new roles. Trevor Staub, another Liberty disc golf player with Zach and Hunter, would join the staff in 2020. He played a role in the background for a while until the summer of 2020 when he would start to appear in videos and on podcasts. He would become a crucial part in Foundation upon the departure of Zach Biscardi. NDAs were signed for him leaving, so there isn't much information on why he left Foundation, but in doing so he would be bought out, just leaving Hunter, Paul, and Brody as owners at the time. A lot of things were shifting for Foundation during this time of growth, particularly when Brody joined. Since Foundation was an open retailer, Discraft would comprise a deal with them to make them solely a Discraft retailer. Since they were using the likeness and impact of Macbeth and Brody while selling competitive brands, it didn't make sense for those partnerships to work. So instead, Foundation would sell only Discraft so their spokesman could sell people fully towards their brand. We jump up to about halfway through 2021. COVID regulations are making it an extreme challenge for companies to manufacture as many discs for what was required of the growing sport. New people were coming in and retailers were sitting with empty shelves. It was even harder for Foundation because they relied on only one retailer. So, with empty shelves trying to sell discs, they decided to leave the Discraft only deal and become an open retailer. As more and more brands came in, Foundation was able to get back in the market of fans who weren't only Discraft throwers. But at the end of 2021, a shock to the disc golf scene would happen. It had to do with the direction of the company. The original idea of creating a local store from their disc golf community was still there, but new avenues had opened up for the company. They were winning at the YouTube game, the podcasting game, and the reach of the brand wasn't local. It didn't need to be. Instead, they could remain an online store and thrive doing so. They had multiple revenue streams that were bringing eyes to the company. So, the values of the company had changed, and with it, ownership. After many discussions on ways to work together even though the visions had changed, Macbeth would be bought out of his share of the company. The vision he had and what Foundation had were two different things. It's hard to gauge the impact of him leaving the brand. It would be easy if they didn't have Brody, but with still a huge face in the disc golf scene, we don't know. Macbeth's leaving didn't hurt them like it could have, and at this point, the faces of the company were Hunter and Trevor, two personas who had a large impact on the scene as well as with the YouTube influence and with their podcast Grip Locked. Another aspect of Macbeth leaving would be the Supreme flight going with him as well, which wasn't much unless he wishes to vamp it up again. At this time, Foundation had pretty much shelved the company. In 2022, the Foundation crew would have to respond to a lot of the rumors that were swirling between the Paul Macbeth versus Brody Smith beef. It would come out that some things had happened to spoil their relationship upon Macbeth leaving. A lot of drama seemed to happen with the owners of the Foundation being just Hunter and Brody now that Macbeth were gone. They dealt with it as they could, but it was certainly an interesting thing to watch with how it was all handled. In the end though, Macbeth leaving was still a difference in where they wanted to take the brand. Now that the dust has settled with Macbeth leaving and all the drama that ensued, the brand has been rolling as of late. With the growth of the company came requirements of needing more staff involved. After starting with just 2 employees and Macbeth in the background, Foundation has grown to accumulate now 14 staff members in total. With the company being so public on YouTube, personalities have been able to flourish. Connor, the man behind the camera, has been a part of some of the best series on YouTube. In my opinion, my favorite disc golf vlog video that I've ever watched is the one with Connor where he tries to break 86 at New London to win a one wheel. High stakes for a non-professional disc golfer, and for that video I watched every second of it, rooting so hard for him. Definitely go check that out if you haven't. But alongside Connor, you have other characters from the brand like Silas and Brad, and now recently brought on YouTuber Robbie C. Disc Golf. It's not just Grip Locked anymore for Foundation podcasts. Now they have a bunch to choose from with many different characters. The idea being that maybe you're not a fan of Hunter and Trevor, while you might be of, let's say, the In the Bag podcast with Robbie C. and Brad. They're allowing the personalities of the brand show, and it's resulting in so many networks for the company to grow. 2022 would be a huge year for Foundation. The original idea of the company would finally come true. A storefront location would pop up for Foundation in the summer of 2022. Not only that, but Foundation would franchise a store in Charleston, South Carolina. After reaching out with the possibilities of opening a store, a franchise deal was constructed for Avery and Dylan to open a store in Charleston. Now, not only was the brand of Foundation online, they finally had their local storefront and their first franchisee. The brand is bigger than ever with a reach that they never thought was possible. One of the bigger YouTube channels for disc golf, the biggest disc golf podcast on the platform, and a reach that grows by the day. They have become a powerhouse in the disc golf scene, and if you didn't know about them, now you do. As for the future of Foundation Disc Golf, the goals are remaining the same. growth, both for the online and brick and mortar stores. The goal is to be able to serve communities that don't have those retail stores like Foundation, to build more storefronts for disc golf to grow. They do have one franchisee, but the impact of Foundation-owned stores will grow the company even better. They want personalities to shine, giving characters at their company the chance to build their own communities on social media and YouTube. They want to bring new players to disc golf, equip them with the best discs in the game, and keep them entertained and interested while they enjoy the sport. A one-stop shop for all your disc golf needs. Ever since I got into disc golf, Foundation has become one of the leaders in the media scene. Their Grip Lock podcast is a weekly thing for me to tune in to any disc golf news I may have missed. When I'm bored and want to watch some disc golf, their YouTube channel provides a lot of different styles to enjoy. I think about the way they have grown through the media side and the possibilities for them in the future. They may have started out being local, but in a couple years or so, I'm excited to see the possibility of more Foundation stores opening. They have the backing, they're a recognized retailer with the chance to grow into something even bigger. The rise of Foundation has been a fun journey to watch. I'm excited to see what they have to offer in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, like and subscribe and all that crap helps out the channel. Special thanks to Hunter from Foundation for helping me with the video. If you guys haven't checked them out already, they're doing a lot to impact the disc golf world, so go show some support. Comment down below which company you would like to see next in a video like this. Alright, we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.